In January 2025, I posted 77 videos in 31 days. In this video, I'm going to share with you the results I generated and some of the lessons I learned along the way. Chapters are below if you'd like to skip around. This year, I decided to get serious about YouTube. I didn't really understand it or appreciate the opportunity. As I got serious, my goal was for January to post 2 videos per day. So that would have ended up being 62 videos. I ended up outpacing my goal by posting 77 videos. Was able to post about 2.5 videos per day. For most of the days throughout the month, I was able to post 2 videos a day, and I did that fairly consistently, but there were some days where I posted 3 or 4, especially towards the end of the month, where one of the days, January 30th, actually ended up posting 7 videos in a single day. I've been blogging since 2014, when I began blogging consistently on my website, jasonscottmontoya.com, if you want to check it out. I've been doing that for about a decade. In 2017, I had a blog post that I had a video for, a fishing video, and I wanted to include it on the blog post about this just wild story when we went fishing. So I needed a place to put the video, and for some reason, I don't remember what it was, I went to YouTube and I set up my channel and I uploaded the video, and that was my first video. So if you go back to my archives, you'll see my oldest video is about catching a fishing pole that had caught a catfish. And so a little bit later, I wanted to get into podcasting, and I've been blogging and I wanted to get into podcasting as my next step in the content creation process. But I needed it to be easy. I needed the process to record, to upload, and distribute the episode to be just so easy, it'd be stupid not to podcast. Eventually, a system came out, software called Anchor. It was great. It did exactly that. It made it so easy to podcast that I had to start doing it. In 2018, I did my first experiment, my first episode. That was the only one I did that year. 2019, I did 2 more episodes. So I had 3 in that 2-year span. Uploaded those videos to YouTube, but had no clue really what YouTube was about in terms of how it could be a viable business pathway for me. I just always thought of it or saw it as a channel just to consume content, to watch videos with my kids, to learn things, but I just it hadn't clicked for me for that opportunity. Now, I had planned to launch my podcast in 2021, but when the pandemic hit in 2020, I didn't know what was going to happen, and I was freelancing, and I didn't know how the pandemic was going to affect that. So I thought, I better get active. I better start doing something, because if things don't go well, I'm going to need to be able to pivot. And the more leverage and platforms and opportunity I have, the more options I have in that pivot. So in 2020, I ended up publishing 33 episodes of the podcast. So once I hit the ground running, I hit it fast, and I was interviewing people almost weekly, 33 for part of the year. And that was just a great learning experience for me. I ended up recording a lot of them on Zoom. I've since switched to Riverside. I'll put a link to that in the description below if you're interested. One of the first videos that I did was a podcast episode, but I also set it up as an event and a webinar. And it was around my book, Path of the Freelancer. How does Path of the Freelancer apply to a situation like the pandemic, like a crisis? I'm a freelancer in a crisis. What do I do? How do I respond? From 2021 to 2023, I ended up publishing another 61 episodes of the Share Life podcast, and I continue to put those on YouTube. So in 2024, I ended up publishing another 36 videos on YouTube specifically. And this is actually a mix of videos. These were a combination of podcast episodes as well as clips. So 2024, this was the first time I started taking pieces of videos that I had recorded and turning them to little clips with very focused messages. And part of this had to do with me getting politically active during 2024 and wanting to convey certain messages and points that I thought were critical at the moment. So I took these clips and I put them on YouTube. I wasn't posting them as a way to try and get traction on YouTube. I was just wanting a place to put them so that then I could share them with people. And so it ended up being this natural experiment where I was posting these clips, which ended up generating results. I also started experimenting with YouTube Shorts, and I started to get a lot of traction that way, but it was traction in terms of views and watch hours, but I wasn't thinking about YouTube as a viable business plan, as a way to get monetized. I wasn't thinking about those things. I was simply trying to increase my reach and reach as many people as I possibly could. And YouTube Shorts were just one of the ways that I was able to get that traction. And so I started doing it and posting a lot of videos. I've been on YouTube since 2017, and it's 2025 now. So we're 8-9 years later. And I'm just starting to realize the power of YouTube and the opportunity before me. I hadn't taken it seriously. I used just sort of saw it as a free place to host my videos. And now I recognize it's much bigger than that. And there's a much bigger opportunity. So I've spent the last 2-3 months really diving in, watching other YouTubers, really understanding how monetization works, how people have gotten traction, how the videos get views. I mean, I didn't even really care about thumbnails before. And in fact, a lot of my videos never had them. And so now I'm doing those and titles, all of that, descriptions, all these pieces of the puzzle. I just neglected because I didn't think it really mattered and it didn't really apply to the purposes I had. But now I'm realizing what that opportunity is, and now that I'm taking it seriously, I'm excited about it. And this is just one of the many videos that I intend to create to take advantage of that opportunity. So let's dive into the power of clips, video clips. I've been podcasting all this time. I've got almost 120 episodes of the podcast, so I've got a ton of long form video content. And I knew that that content was rich in clips. I can go through these videos, which are sometimes 45 minutes, an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. And I've got all these clips that are evergreen, powerful insights, powerful stories from people that I've interviewed, some that are famous, some that are local, some that I know, some that I've just met for the first time. And so clips was just, it seemed like just the perfect opportunity because at the end of 2024, one of the interviews that I did, I created a clip and I posted it, and it ended up becoming my second most watched video out of everything. And the first most watched video had 1,800 views, and this one has over 1,500 now. And it was simply a clip I created and published. I didn't do anything, but YouTube somehow it triggered certain things because of the election, and it was a political nature, and it took off and got all these watch hours and all these views. And I was not expecting that, but it opened my eyes just to the opportunity of clips. I'd been posting all these long form podcast episodes, and I thought, wow, what if I just slice them up into little pieces and get the nuggets out of those, particularly the evergreen ones, and then I start creating clips, and then I create titles and thumbnails for each one and see where that goes. And that's a big part of what January 2025 was for me. And I'll dive into just how many of the videos I did that were clips as well as other videos that I experimented with. The success of that clip and some of the other clips that I created, if you look at my top 20 most popular videos, a lot of them are clips, and they're from that little season. And so it just opened up my eyes that this is an opportunity. I've got over 100 podcast episodes, which means I've got over 100 hours. It could be maybe 150 hours worth of content that I can break into 2 minutes, 5 minutes, in some cases 7-minute clips. I've got a huge reservoir, and so that's something that I knew I could lean into to generate a lot of video content quickly without having to spend a lot of time. Now, if you're not a podcaster and you don't have that huge library of past episodes that you could start chopping up into clips and putting on your YouTube channel, this may also apply to you if you've done like videos like this, where you're talking to the camera, vlogs, whether they're personal or business, where maybe they're 15, they're 20, 25, 30 minutes. You could take out pieces of that and make clips. This video that I'm doing right here, there are probably sections of it that I could pull out and make some clips. I could make 3 or 4 or 5 clips. One of the things I discovered is that clips actually help promote the full-time video. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's talk about the number of videos I publish and the types of videos that I publish as part of that. And then after we do that, then we'll dive into the analytics of the watch hours that I got from those videos. I want to show you the numbers for 2024 to start. So that way you have a comparison between what I'm going to share about in January 2025, just as it compares to 2024, because I have essentially published twice as many videos in January as I did all of 2024. In 2024, I published 34 videos in total. One of them was like a video like this where I'm talking to the camera. So that was really my first foray into vlogging. I also did 12 clips. I had 8 blog readings. So one of the things I did is I used a system called 11 Labs. I'll put the link in the description if you're interested, but it does AI voice reading. So I did some blog posts because I've got over 600 blog posts on my website. So I've written a lot of blogs, and I'm experimenting with blog readings where I take the AI and I have it read it. I've also done some in my own voice. So last year I posted 8 videos to YouTube, which are the audio reading, and then there's a kind of a visualizer that goes with it. And they also posted 13 long form podcast interviews. It was 34 videos in total. So how does that compare to 2025? All right, here's the breakdown of the 77 videos for January 2025. 64 video clips. So I took from the episodes. I did 6 fireside chats. That's kind of what I'm considering this type of video where I'm talking to you through the camera here. these are videos I specifically made for YouTube. I did one experimental video where I was every morning I make tea, and so I just took a video of each step of the process. It's like a 12-second video of just me making the tea, brewing it, pouring it, and then taking a sip. I also did 6 episodes of the podcast, and 3 of them were this new format that I'm experimenting with called spontaneous conversations. They're these short 15-20 minute conversations around a topic. I did 1 listen to learn episode of the podcast, 1 inspirational people interview, and I did 1 Share Life Academy workshop where we talked about vision casting in 2025 goals and how do we accomplish those goals and what are the challenges that prevent us from reaching those goals. So that's 77 videos, and 64 of those were clips. So 13 were other things other than the clips. One of the things I'm not sure about is how many videos I posted on any given day made a difference or not. On January 30th, I posted 7 videos. On some other days, I only posted 1 video. Most days it was 2 videos. So I don't know, what is better one way or the other. But what I'm gravitating towards is I'm thinking about for the video clips that I'm putting together, that I'm chopping up from podcasts, doing those in like a batch and then releasing them. I could release them all on the same day because I don't think it'll matter. And then for the other types of content, whether it's a video like this or it's a podcast episode, I'll do those on separate days and try and give them a little bit of room for my audience to see it and to watch it. And then let the clips be batched for YouTube to sort of take and process and then find people that might be interested in them. And part of the reason I think the clips are so powerful is because they're very specific in a topic of conversation or a question or a story. And so they can reach a lot of people that maybe the person that I'm interviewing, people don't know them. There's some people I've interviewed that are well-known TED talkers and authors and stuff. But for most of the people that I've interviewed, people don't know them. And so I can bridge that content to them by posting a clip in a topical way where they see the clip and they see that it's valuable, and then they might go and check out the full episode. But one quick thing I want to just say about YouTube Shorts, because I did do a bunch of them in 2024, and I actually did a couple at the beginning of January, and then I realized I didn't understand that the watch hours weren't included as part of the YouTube Shorts, so I decided to put that aside. But I do want to figure out if Shorts, if I can leverage them in a way to promote the podcast episodes or maybe the clips themselves. So I'm going to be figuring out how to use Reels to get more watch hours. Thumbnails and titles, again, like I said earlier, I didn't care about thumbnails. I was pretty unintentional about titles, generally speaking. But through the process of creating 77 videos and just learning everything I've learned from other YouTubers on what works and how to get views and how to get watch hours and how to compel people to watch them, what I learned is the title, the thumbnail, and then the first part of the video are the key to being successful at YouTube. And so I'm taking those things more serious. And the thing about creating 77 videos in 31 days is I created a lot of thumbnails. And that allowed me to experiment and test things. And at first I had probably too much on the thumbnails, and then I started to simplify it. And that's the direction that I'm moving towards, more and more simpler thumbnails for my videos, and trying to create some branding, but not too much, and trying to make some visual cues on the type of video that's being posted so people can easily know what kind of video it is. So those are things I'm experimenting with, and the sheer volume of doing the number of videos that I've done and creating the number of titles and the number of thumbnails, it's been a powerful learning experience for me. So things I think that will work, and then I can think about it and realize, okay, I could do it a little bit differently. I'm learning those lessons in volume. I've done some tweaking of both the titles and the thumbnails, and I've also cut out some pieces of the videos themselves. I haven't noticed that doing that makes any big difference based on where I'm at in my channel, since I haven't seen much positive result in making those tweaks. Stop doing them. But once I get to another stage in the process, I might try it again when there's more views, more watch hours, and in a larger audience. Now, one cool thing about January, this was unexpected. Tube let me know I had achieved 1,000 watch hours this month. The problem is, and this is something that I was excited with before I started the month, was I knew I had like 900 and something watch hours, and I thought, I only need 2,000 watch hours to get to the monetization goal. So I'm already halfway there. But it turns out that you actually have to have 2,000 watch hours within a 365-day period. And I didn't realize that. So that didn't actually help me. But I do wonder if there's a level of authority that YouTube gives a YouTube channel based on the number of watch hours it accumulates over time. So I have hit this milestone. YouTube has told me about it. They've indicated it as important. So does that mean it changes how much or how little they promote videos that I'm publishing? I don't know. In blogging with Google, that actually is how it works. So the more content you produce, the more of a library you create, the more you connect that library to each other through links, the more you get links from other websites, you build authority. And so on my website, I actually have a lot of authority. So when I post about certain things, I can get ranked very quickly on page 1 of Google for certain things because I have established authority. And so I get a lot of traction very quickly without a whole lot of effort. And I wonder if YouTube has a similar dynamic, that if a channel, how long it's been around, how many videos it's published, how many hours it's published, how many hours it's been watched, how many views, how many subscribers. I'm sure those all have factors, although I don't quite understand what they are. If it works, if that's how it works on Google, it seems like it might be. So I do wonder if the milestone may have some type of positive impact. And on that front, in a seemingly coincidental alignment, YouTube is now promoting my videos in a way it hasn't before. So if you take a look at this graph, you'll notice the blue line is the browse features. And that's YouTube displaying the video to people on their home feed and other places. And so you can see in October it shot up, and then it dropped down in November, and then December it shot up again. And so then in January there at the little dip there, you see I was able to sustain it. So something has happened on my YouTube channel where the browse feature of YouTube is now taking my content more serious. If it's going to stick around, then I'm happy to continue to put content into the machine and let it continue to promote it. And that's one of the cool things about YouTube that I didn't really fully appreciate, was that YouTube wants to promote the content. It wants people to watch your videos, and it wants people to check it out. And so that's a different thing than, say, email marketing or even blogging, where it comes down to me as the blogger to promote my content. The browse feature is YouTube actively promoting it. And that was something I knew in the YouTube Shorts and the Reels system and social media. They're actively promoting content because people are going into it voluntarily to watch it. And so it's trying to deliver content to them. But when I realized that YouTube in its normal format videos, its standard format, long form, does that as well, like that hadn't computed with me. I didn't realize that before. And so now that I recognize it, I am all in creating content, putting it into the YouTube machine, and letting it help promote my content for me. So here's the moment you've all been waiting for, the actual outcome and results of my 77 videos. What happened? Did it help me? Did I grow? Is this worthwhile? So I'm going to dive into my analytics, starting with 2023, then 2024, and then the end of 2024, and then I'm going to bridge that into 2025, and we're going to look at the graphs. So all of my watch hours of all time through the end of 2023, you can see this graph here. So you'll notice this huge spike here. That's actually where my most popular video of all time became so popular, was during that little era. I was doing a lot of interviews, so I had a lot of people that I was interviewing and a lot of podcast episodes, and then their communities and networks were watching them. And then I had a really popular episode that became my most watched video. And so that's a clue, though, that like a lot of activity will make a difference. Even though it was just long form and I wasn't doing clips, it actually made a really big difference. And so doing a lot of podcast episodes this year in 2025 is one of the things that I'm thinking about, in addition to the clips, particularly because is long form. Those people have communities and networks, and they're helping to promote it. And so it just gets a lot of watch hours. And then I can make clips from those at some point to continue to drive more activity. It kind of flatlines, and I'm doing a few episodes here and there. And you can kind of, I think the peaks are mostly just when I'm doing new episodes. So for 2023, my average monthly watch hours in 2023 was 14. So it was a total of 167.60 watch hours for 2023, the year itself. If I include the time before it, we're at 660 watch hours in total through 2023. If we look at 2024, now we're at 902 watch hours. But for 2024 itself, it was about 20 watch hours per month, for a total of 242 watch hours in the year. And you'll notice towards the end of December, this is when my second most popular video took off. And you'll see it starts to peak upward here. And this is before January. So this is what you see here. So it went from 14 monthly watch hours to 20. That's my average, but let's dive in a little bit to the last few months here. So August 2024, I had 9.31 watch hours. September, I had 17.32. October, I had 24.51. November, 25.54. And then for December, I had 39.99. So about 40 watch hours. And so how did that compare to January after I posted 77 videos throughout the month? Well, turned out I was able to increase it by over 20 hours. So for the month of January 2025, I was able to generate 62.68 watch hours after posting 77 videos. You can see here that the spike continued and it went as high as it's ever been. 60, over 60 watch hours. I had accomplished a little over 41 below. And so December, when I hit about 40, I'd kind of hit my previous peak. And this month I was able to surpass it, which is exciting. Now, I understand that 62 watch hours over the course of 12 months isn't going to get me monetized. It'll take me 63 months to get that. So it's going to be too slow to get monetized. But I believe there is a compounding factor here that will play a part in continuing to build on month after month. So as you see in November and December and now January, I'm climbing. And maybe I can keep the climb going if I continue the activity. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. There was a lot of videos. I published 77 videos. I think 13 of those videos came in the last 2 days. So I know not only those videos, but the videos in that latest week are probably going to carry over into February in some more direct ways. But I also have a lot of content from the past that's continuing to show up, and I'm seeing videos start to get some viewings and watch hours that are older that I wasn't even trying to promote. So I'm going to dive a little bit into that in the next section. We're going to break apart what videos got the traction, how much traction did they get. We're going to look at the different types of videos and how they performed. So let's dive in. Watch hours by video type. So out of the 62.68 watch hours, how did the type of video play a role? So for podcast episodes, I had 30.93 watch hours. Now, that's across many episodes, including old episodes, so not just the new ones that I did. So that means I generated 0.836 watch hours per episode that calculated any number of meaningful watch time. For clips, that generated 25.35 watch hours, which is about 0.425 watch hours per clip. And then talking to camera videos like this, I had 4.96 watch hours, which is about 0.45 watch hours per video. And then I had a blog readings, which was 10 minutes, and it was 2 videos, so it was 5 minutes per video. So those aren't getting a ton of traffic. So how does that translate into future activity? Well, let's say it takes me 10 minutes to create a video clip. And I can create, within an hour, I can create 6 clips, all right? That means for every hour that I'm spending on creating clips, I can generate 2.5 watch hours towards my goal. Now, to reach 4,000 watch hours, that's going to be a lot of hours. So if I'm only getting 2.5 watch hours for an hour's worth of work and creating 6 clips, then it's not going to work out. But if I can build a compounding effect, and if the videos end up getting more watch hours over the course of many months, then that number may end up being a lot bigger and have a lot higher return on investment. It does seem to be a low-hanging fruit opportunity of which I'm going to lean into as much as I can, because it seems like the most effective way for me to generate watch hours. While I experiment with formats like this, I try to get more visibility on the longer form content and figure out ways to generate more watch hours per video and per hour of my time so that I can achieve the monetization and ultimately a sustainable YouTube business. Now, the metrics that I'm sharing with you that has included both new and recent and old content. So I want to do a breakdown. I did a little bit of data slicing to see what the difference between new and old and recent and how that might play a part. And I found a couple interesting insights that I'm going to use to help me as I go forward from here. Now, I suspect there are 2 effects that's going to happen with creating more content on my YouTube channel that's going to revive or bring more viewership to my existing library from the last several years of podcast episodes and now clips that I'm putting on the platform. I suspect that new audiences are going to find the content that I'm creating. And after they find it, then YouTube's going to be able to reach other people that are like them for that same content. And then when those people are reached, I also think what's going to happen is that then they're going to now get exposed to other parts of my library and other clips that are relevant to the ones they watch. And so it's going to expand my reach to reach that audience. That's my hypothesis. We'll see how that plays out, but that seems to be my experience as a viewer, as an audience person, from other YouTube channels that I followed and videos of theirs that I watch. All right, so let's dive into the comparison of old and new content. So out of the 62.68 watch hours from January, 15 hours are from content older than 3 months. And about 6 hours are from recent content, which would be October, November, December. That's how I'm defining recent. So 3 months prior to the month that I'm actively doing the experiment in. Anything older than that is considered old content. The 15 hours from the older content and the 6 hours from the recent content, that's 21 hours. That is what I'm considering my evergreen watch time baseline. And that's going to be what I'm going to be watching for, is what's the amount of hours that move from one month to the next month, and create that baseline of which all the new stuff then sits on top of. And so if that baseline grows, I should be able to continue to grow it by creating more and more content, building the library, so that when I create new content, that just gets added to that baseline, and it eventually becomes sustainable, and eventually I can reach the watch hours without having to spend thousands of hours to get there. So that's what I'm thinking. So since I have the data for the podcast, let's see how the watch hours compare for old, new, and recent podcasts. Since clips are pretty new, I don't really have the data to be able to compare, but with podcasts, I have new and old ones. So I think there's some interesting data here to look at. All right, so new podcast episodes generated 14.844 watch hours. Old podcast episodes generated 10.72 watch hours. And recent podcast episodes, again, October, November, December, they generated 6.38 watch hours. So that's really interesting, because that means the old content's getting a lot of traction still. Now, it's not a lot of watch hours in terms of accomplishing 4,000 watch hours for my goal. But if I look at the metrics and I break it into slices, it just shows me the opportunity, and I can just imagine if I scale that out and add a 0 to all of those, that this could get a lot bigger. Now, I have one other data point that's kind of interesting, is a lot of these podcast episodes I created clips for. Some of the clips were for some of the new podcast episodes that I did, but I also did clips for older episodes. So I'm curious, do the clips make a difference in helping to promote the full length content? For podcast episodes that I had made clips for, generated 8.9073 watch hours, which based on the number of episodes was 1.78146 watch hours per podcast episode. Now, if I didn't make clips, it was 22.0245 watch hours, which was 0.69 watch hours per podcast episode. So not only are clips worth it on their own, it seems pretty clear that clips help promote the full form content. So if you want to promote some of your longer form content that's 15, 20, 25, 30 or longer minutes, consider building some clips, because those clips might help get you more views on the full length version. Now let's do one slice with new episodes. I didn't have enough data to do old, recent, and new, so I've bundled together old and recent, and then I've got new. So there was 2 new podcast episodes where I created some clips, and it got about 4 watch hours, so it's about 2 watch hours per video. The new podcast episodes without clips got 10.852 watch hours, which was 2.7 watch hours per video. So in that case, without clips actually got more. So for new episodes, it seems like clips may not help a whole lot. This is a very small sample size, so I'll be doing some more tests in the future. But let's just assume that it doesn't really help new episodes because they've just come out. And so if that's the case, then it seems like, what about old episodes? So let's take a look at old episodes. All right, so old episodes with clips get 4.92 watch hours, 1.64 watch hours per video. Old podcast episodes without clips get 11.17 watch hours, which includes 5.34 watch hours from recent episodes. But that's only 0.4 watch hours per video. So old videos are outperforming almost by 3 times if I make clips for the long form content. So while clips don't seem to make an impact on generating more watch hours for new podcast episodes, it certainly seems to make a difference for old ones. So my takeaway is, launch the new content, launch the new videos, long format videos, wait a few months, or it could even be 6 months, then create the clips and let those clips generate their own watch hours for their own sake, but then it also helps promote the primary video. This is something I'm very interested just to continue to experiment with and see how it unfolds. And then also, if there's a way I can do the same kind of thing with YouTube Shorts to be able to promote the content as well. If I can create a bunch of clips and a bunch of shorts and get a lot more watch hours on these podcast episodes, then I have a huge opportunity to squeeze the orange, get more of the juice out of the orange, get more of the watch hours out of every video that I create. So those will be things I'll be experimenting with. At this stage of the journey, when I started this challenge at the beginning of January, I had 68 subscribers, which has taken me forever to get. But I wasn't really expecting to get a whole lot of subscribers as part of this challenge. But to my surprise, I ended up getting 17 subscribers in the month of January, which was exciting. That was like not quite a third, but maybe a fourth of the number of subscribers I had, and it was able to generate that without a whole lot of effort. So I was really focusing on watch hours because it felt like something I could control, and the subscribers will come when they come, and there are things I could probably do to encourage more of that. For example, if you're interested in this type of content or the types of videos that I'm producing, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. I'm at 86 subscribers. So getting close to that 100 subscriber count, and excited to move that needle alongside the watch hours, because if I can get them both to move and to accomplish both around the same time, then it'll make monetization a lot easier when I get there. Historically, my mission has been to create a lot of content, blogging, podcast episodes. I've written 3 books, and my idea was I'm just going to produce a lot of content. And at some point in the future, I'm going to pivot into promoting. And this is the year where I'm making that pivot, where now I'm going to do more of that promotion, because my goal this year is to figure out how to earn $100,000 as a content creator. So I'm also a freelancer, and I've mastered that, and I've done well. And my first book is on that. It's called Path of the Freelancer. And I'm able to earn 6 figures while working part-time. And so I've done that intentionally so I can use the rest of my time to create content. I'm figuring out ways to earn income from the content creation. And YouTube monetization is what seems to be the low-hanging fruit opportunities to create content, get monetized for it. And there seems to be a clear pathway that anyone can achieve if they work towards that goal. Now, one of the things that I have a lot of leverage with is my blog, my social media channels, my email list. I have an online digital footprint, an online platform, an online network community, and I can promote the content I'm creating on YouTube to these communities. And so I've been doing some of that just organically over time, but I'm really building out a system using some tools to help me distribute the content and promote the content across these channels. Now, one of the interesting risks that I have faced and overcome is last year, part of the reason I got into clips and part of the reason I did my first vlog talking to the camera was because I got politically active. And I got politically active in a way that was antagonistic to a lot of the people I know that are in my community. And it also drew out the trolls across social media. I took this risk to be politically active and to speak on controversial issues. And that actually helped me discover some of the things that I've discovered that have opened my eyes to the opportunity of YouTube. But I think it's also really great because by doing that, I've stepped into controversial issues from the beginning. So I don't have to worry about later on being worried about doing something like that and how are people going to respond? How are people going to react? Because I've already done it. And so I've stepped into that fear, and there's no better way to face the trolls to come than to dive into some of the most controversial topics of our society. So by taking that risk, any risks that come, there are all kinds of things. I can experiment with all kinds of things. I can do things, try things. I can fail. I can make mistakes along the way. And I've really leaned into the idea of making imperfect videos, making mistakes, and just publishing stuff. I published videos where my lighting was wretched, where something was wrong, that maybe I made a mistake in the sound, and I put them up, I left them there. And those are my reminders like, hey, I made this mistake, so I don't want to make it again. So next time I have this video that's published, that's out there, and it's a reminder for me to not make that same mistake on the next one. And so I'm continuing to make improvements. I've upgraded my room, I've upgraded my lighting, and I'm adjusting things, I'm tweaking things, but I'm not letting imperfection or humiliation because I fail or I do something wrong or I make a mistake stop me. I'm just moving. And I know if I take that process and I'm iteratively making improvements along the way, I'm going to get better and better. And that's shown even in the month that I've begun the process. If you look at some of the earlier stuff that I did in January to the end of it, in terms of the videos that are produced, not the clips, you can just see some of that progress that I made and things that have changed. So I've got a lot of opportunities and I'm continuing to lean into those. And I'm not going to let perfection get in the way of making content and communicating with you. The way that I think about this whole thing is I've made progress and I've grown my channel, I've generated more watch hours, I'm moving up, and I've learned a lot of lessons, and there are things I wish I would have done earlier that I now know and am now doing. But I've improved. I'm making progress. And I think the best way to compare ourselves is not against somebody else, but against ourselves, a past version of us. And there are a lot of great things that past me has done that have set me up for where I am now. And I'm very grateful for that. And there are things that I'm going to do now to continue to build on that and continue to grow. And I'm excited for what's to come. So I posted 77 videos. I was able to generate over 60 watch hours, which was 20 more than I had in December, which was 40 more than my 2024 average. I consider that a huge success, and I'm excited about it. And I'm going to continue the activity in February. I'll make some adjustments for sure, but we'll see where this goes. Tell me what you think, what questions you have. What have you learned along the process? Share those in the comments below. I'm Jason Scott Montoya, and thank you for listening.